welcome to the OKD Working Group meeting for April 25th of the year 2023. Please take a moment to look at the agenda and let us know if there's anything there that you want to add, change, move around. All right, we good to go? Okay. Starting out with OKD release and CI/CD updates. Christian, Shireen, Vadim, Luigi, Alex, whomever. Everybody.
I'll go. Nothing much except for the fact that we enabled notification to a matrix room that is on the Fedora matrix endpoint. I don't know if everybody has that endpoint and the room ID, or otherwise we can provide it in the meeting notes. And so we've created an OKD bot and linked it to the room and are now sending notifications there. We will ask you for feedback on the quality of those notifications. If they are too verbal, like they come in too much, because we do them for the nightly or daily builds of SCOS, and for the SCOS, for the OKD on SCOS releases as well. So any feedback is nice. We know that, for example, things like having the link to the release would be a nice to have inside the message. So any other feedback could be nice so that we can improve on that. And that's basically it.
Okay, and I did put a link to the room up at the top of the meeting notes so that it's there permanently and we can spread this around. Yeah, we don't get a lot of activity there, but we can. It's good that we've got those updates going there. So thank you very much for doing that.
No problem.
Any questions about that? Any feedback on that? All right. Moving on now to the FCOS updates. And we have neither Dusty nor Timothy. So we'll skip that and going to SCOS updates, which we don't really, Shireen, unless you know anything.
No, nothing much on my side. Timothy is out on sick leave for now. Hopefully he will be back in May. But in the meantime, on that, no updates as far as I know.
So we're plugging right along here. Nothing for FCOS, nothing for SCOS. Community development updates. We didn't have a meeting last week, but Brian, anything else?
Yeah, there's a couple of things come up. There has been some movement. We've had a few documentation releases. If you go to the planning board, there are couple of things in review. We've got the non-assisted single node installation. So if anyone has some spare bandwidth, I know in Europe we've got a long weekend coming up, the May Day bank holiday. So if you're bored and it's raining and you want something to do, if you could try out those instructions and provide any feedback, that would be very, very helpful. In terms of the low resource install methods, we had an issue with the CRC. I see that a fix was pushed 5 days ago. I haven't checked that. So that allows you to do an OKD release using the CRC mechanism, which was broken. And I've actually been looking at issue number 2, which is trying to create the assisted installer documentation. I have a way working through, and I've been trying it with both the Fedora and the CentOS Stream Core OS releases, and they both fail. So I am looking for some assistance. I'm not that familiar with the sort of the dark magic that happens as part of the install in the bootstrap mechanism. So I am looking for some help there. The CentOS Stream doesn't even get to the first boot. It complains that a file is already present. So there's obviously some difference with the install image over the Fedora and the OCP sort of install image. So we need to try and get to the bottom of that. And then the FCOS-based package does go all the way through, but it fails to install all of the operators, the core operators. And I've not yet tracked down what the issue is, but there's quite a few of them that just don't come up, and it's repeatable. I've tried it multiple times. I've tried it on various different sort of backends, but the assisted installer piece works, but there's something that I don't know whether there's an incompatibility with how the assisted installer works, or how it puts the config together, but it doesn't result in a working config. And following the same instructions, but using the OCP hosted installer, it actually works, and I get a working cluster against the same target backends that I'm trying the OKD one. So it suggests there is some either incompatibility with the assisted installer, or something wrong, or something different with the OKD install package. So again, I am looking for assistance. If anybody is familiar with the install process and can help debug a broken cluster. So they are 2 issues that we just need to try and close out. And then we will have the single node install. We can then push a version of that into the OKD documentation to replace the instructions there. And that's about it on what's been going on the project board.
Excellent. I did notice in terms of the CRC that there was a comment from Brad Braid, that about the bundles, that they were hoping the OKD community could pick it up. So that might be something that we may want to be like our first sort of project that's pulling in developers to help with OKD stuff that aren't Red Hat employees specifically, right? And that might be a project worth doing as sort of a small low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, I don't know whether we can put something as a sort of triggered from the SCOS pipelines to every time we do a successful build, we build a CRC bundle and push that somewhere as well. So yeah, I did see those comments.
For folks that want to know what I'm talking about, I'll put the link to the particular comment in the chat. There we go. Any other comments or feedback on that? Oh, one thing did occur to me, actually. I was looking at the documentation. Did anyone notice that now 12 is listed as in the product documentation? 12 is now listed as no longer maintained, and latest is like not a number. So it doesn't actually say 13.
Yes, I have questioned that with Michael. That's planning issue number 13. So okay. I have questioned that with Michael, that we do need the latest version, not to be marked as not active.
Right. Okay. Right. Anything else from folks? Right. Well, that was an incredibly quick 10-minute meeting.
There is one more item on the agenda.
Oh, yes. Okay. So does anyone whoever made the request, do you want to speak to it? Do we know who made the request to move the meeting? Was it you, Shereen? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, I think that we moved it initially to this time because there was a move to the summertime on the Europe side and not yet on the US side. And now basically on our side, it's 7 p.m. So it's why sometimes it's hard to get on the call. So if it is possible to put it back 1 hour earlier.
Okay. What do folks think? I was going to send out a survey for this, but then I got hit by a car and have not done that. So folks think?
I think just when we talked about this, what, 4 weeks ago, there was a number of European people that said this is sort of prime family time, and it can be difficult. So it's not just Shireen. I think there was a number of the people on Central European time that had a problem with this. I mean, initially we didn't move. We actually stayed at this time, and we stayed with sort of non-summer times, which means this meeting always moved back and forwards. I'm happy to keep it to a same time. I know we're going to have 2 weeks when US and Europe are largely out of line, but I'm happy to keep it sort of the back an hour year round.
If we okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I like an hour before. That would be that's what I would vote for.
On my perspective, from the UK, this time actually suits me, and I find it difficult to attend meetings when we're in sort of winter time or standard time. But if the community wants to move it, I mean, yeah, we'll just have to accommodate.
Let's ask some other folks here. What do folks think? Bruce?
Yeah, I guess an hour earlier is a bit easier, but one issue that I would see is that at the moment it's on GMT, and so I put it in my calendar as GMT, and I always know when it is, because the daylight savings time or whatever that varies from place to place, and it's just a big chaos. So if we sort of try and adjust it back and forth in terms of people's local time, we really would need to communicate it well, because otherwise you're going to lose half the people, 3 or 4 times a year.
Do people use the calendar link from the Fedora calendar? Because that
what I'm finding out is a lot of people don't, because when I had to, and for context, I decided to cancel the meeting last week because of completely forgot about KubeCon EU. It turns out a bunch of people didn't receive the notification that the meeting was canceled. A lot of people don't use that calendar. I was surprised to find out. Yeah. That's a small sampling. I mean, maybe that's not.
I won't guarantee I'm in front of a computer if you move it up an hour, but I'll attend as much as I can. It will eventually conflict with the OpenStack Technical Committee, but except for one meeting a month, we meet in IRC anyways, and I can definitely double up most weeks. So, I mean, I can make it work.
For me, it would be okay. It would basically be noon throughout the year if we move it to different GMT times. My concern is that then we would have to make sure that we communicate it, and deal with the chaos, that is that 2-week period where everyone's sort of out of sync. All right, I feel like we should at least talk to some of the other folks like Timothy and Christian and whatnot. So can we shelve this until the next meeting when they are there, ideally? Just because if we move them and they can't, like, then we're short two like fundamental people to the meeting. So
do we have a polling do you have a polling option? Because it might be easier just let's put a poll out on somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we can throw a poll in the working group, Google group. I can throw a link to it. That's what I was going to do and just never got to it. But yeah.
And it sounds like it'll be fairly easy. 2 options, vote for one or the other.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably put other, like a third other option, and people could fill it in, you know, just to give people something to say if maybe there's something we're not thinking of in terms of how to do this. But yeah, pretty much at most 3 options. All right. Is there anything else that folks want to address?
I just had a quick question for Brian. I wanted to catch you while you were here. A couple of community meets ago, you showed us the OKD operator catalog, like a static page you were working on somewhere. And I didn't take note of the URL, and I've been trying to stalk you to try and figure out where this site was. I'm wondering if you could give us a link again to have a look at it.
Yeah, so the easiest the easiest way is if you go to the planning. So if you look at can you see the agenda?
Yes.
In HackMD. So if you go to the projects 1, that will take you to the GitHub planning board, and then the OKD operator catalog is listed in there. I'm just trying to find the number of it, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get every sort of active piece of community work in here. Yeah. So it's planning 19. So it's in the ready column, and it's planning item number 19.
Nice. Okay. I don't see a link in there to the static site that you had built.
Okay, what I will do is I will put that in there. I thought I'd got it in. I will put that in there. That's me not following my own advice. I'll add it to that link. I'll add it to that.
Awesome.
That thing. Yeah. And now the coupon's out of the way, I will be trying to get like-minded or interested people onto a call outside of this time, just to kick off that project, because we've been talking about this for over 6 months, and it's about time we actually got something good moving on it. And
yeah, I'd like to contribute to that effort.
Good.
Very cool. All right. Does anyone have anything else that they wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I have one basic question.
Sure.
Suppose if I want to install a single node OKD in my laptop or MacBook, so just I'm looking for some documentation. Is there any available in the GitHub page where I can go through it and learn my own? Yeah. Can someone help?
This is a perfect opportunity. So
I think that's what Brian's working on. Yeah.
One of the documents that we've got in review is the work that Luigi did for the single node. Now this is the unassisted install. So this is you're doing everything manually because the assisted installer doesn't yet work. But if I post, I'll put it in the chat. But if you are on the board, it's number 28. But what I will do is just make sure that everyone can see it. I'll put it in the chat as well. So the links are in there. And any issues, please feedback onto that thread so we can get the documents updated. So it is in review at the minute. So.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. I will go through it.
Excellent. Anything else? All right, sounds like now that we're past the KubeCon stuff and things are starting to settle, that we can start focusing in on some of these projects that have been hanging out there. I did start working on the survey stuff again, so folks who are showing up at the community development meeting will hear about that next week. All right, well, thank you so much, folks, and we will be I'll send out a survey for time, and then we'll try to discuss it at the next meeting. Ideally, we'll hear back from Christian and Luigi and Timothy. I think those three folks, it's important to get some feedback from them as well. So. Awesome. All right. Thanks, folks.
Thank you,
Thanks
Jamie.
all.
Thank you
Thanks.
all.